An absolutely bloodthirsty Megyn Kelly delivered what I think is one of the sickest rants I have ever seen. And I want to look at this on two fronts. Number one, what exactly are Megyn Kelly's ethics and morals? But number two, do we just not give a damn about the law anymore? Do we not give a damn about due process? Do we not give a damn about the Geneva Convention or the Constitution? Do these people care about anything that the law says? So let me set this up. We're going to listen to the clip and then I'll give you my thoughts about it. Megyn Kelly weighed in on her podcast about the recent alleged war crimes, in which after an initial bombing was done of a boat off the coast of Central South America, survivors were in the water, and there was a second bombing done. The White House initially denied it. They have now acknowledged that this took place. This appears to be a war crime. Now, a couple of people wrote to me and they said, David, why are you saying it appears to be? Why aren't you just saying it is a war crime? Well, I think it's always important to say, based on the information we have, it appears to be that way. It hasn't been adjudicated as such. It might never be. That's one of the problems we have. But by all measures, it appears that it was indeed a war crime. Megyn Kelly says, hey, you know what? Not only do I want them killed in the water, I want them to suffer. I want them to bleed out for a while and then die. I want you to listen to the bloodthirsty nature of this, but importantly, ask yourself, what does the law say about any of this stuff?
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. Now that is a Christian. I know it. I know you might not have been able to notice, but that is a Christian. And I don't exactly know which part of the New Testament that ideology is espoused by Jesus in, or by whoever wrote the New Testament. But that is a Christian. Now, importantly, Megyn Kelly isn't talking about terrorists attacking Americans, or terrorists attacking the United States, or terrorists attacking troops abroad or enemy combatants. She's not talking about battlefield combat of any time. Megyn Kelly is talking about suspected drug smugglers in a non-international armed conflict that the U.S. has basically invented alleged narco traffickers on a boat in international waters. People who, according to reporting from the BBC and from congressional sources, were wounded and trying to survive in the water after a strike. They were hit again, which is a war crime. And her reaction is, make them suffer, make it last. Could we find a way to make them lose a limb and sit there in the water as the limb bleeds out and then they die? Why? Not for convicted drug smuggling, which, by the way, already would be cruel and unusual punishment, but for alleged drug smuggling. And even the allegations in some cases seem a little bit shaky. Megyn Kelly is comfortably, she's a lawyer, she's comfortable calling for illegal extrajudicial killings, which are obviously anti-American in a generic sense. They are unconstitutional. They're forbidden under the laws, the laws of armed conflict. They contravene the Geneva Convention. And we are talking about war crimes. Do we care about that? People like Megyn Kelly used to claim that they did. They used to say, we are constitutional conservatives. Even in war, we have rules. If someone is wounded and out of the fight, you detain them and you provide care, or at minimum, you don't kill them while they're helpless in the water, treading water. You do not fantasize about torturing them. Or if you do, you certainly don't act on it. She says, I don't have sympathy for these people. Sympathy is irrelevant. Let me give you an analogy. And I remember the jury instructions when I was a juror in a trial. The judge will often tell members of the jury, as it's time to deliberate, you have your jury instructions, you have your definitions of the relevant laws and statutes, Any sympathy you have for any party should play no role one way or the other. What I mean by that is, as jurors, we were told, you are here to apply the law to the facts as they have been entered into evidence. You shouldn't consider your feelings about any of the parties involved. You shouldn't consider what the punishment might be. The punishment will be determined by the judge later. You are simply to decide guilty or not guilty by applying the law to the facts. The foundation of American law is the government doesn't have the right to torture and murder people outside of due process just because it feels righteous or because you lack sympathy for the people that are being tortured. Megyn Kelly wants you to believe that because she doesn't feel sympathy for these people based on being, at the end of the day, alleged drug traffickers, that vengeance and torture, removing a limb and allowing to bleed out, that is somehow justice, and that the cruelty of it projects some kind of strength, and that if we're angry enough or if we lack sympathy for people, the laws become optional. And so it's almost like a conservative idea to apply. Do we care about the law or don't we? Now, Megyn Kelly, on this total jumping of the shark that she's been on for the last 6 months, she has made a choice. She wants a country whose military is driven by bloodlust, not by the law, not by domestic law, not by the Constitution, not by international law. This is another example, by the way. Megyn Kelly's a woman, but this, and later in the week, we're going to do a segment on the perversion of what it means to be an alpha male, and how the people now in charge want you to think that they're alpha males, but by their own standards, they're extraordinarily beta. I apologize, not language I use, but I'm kind of using their language. This is another example of not masculinity, because Megyn Kelly is not a man, but it's another example of what counts as strength in the current delusional and deranged MAGA movement. Strength could mean we foster a community of respect and raise others up and work with allies to improve conditions, because we are the strong and wealthy United States, and we can make not only our country better, but help improve other countries so that people don't end up trafficking drugs to our country, and really show that we have strength to spare. Strength in this kind of perverted scenario means we don't sympathize with alleged drug traffickers, and we want to see them bleed. Look at how strong I am. Look at how tough I am. And it's all supposedly in the name of national security, but it fails to actually make us any safer. Appreciate you watching. Stick around for this next video, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you actually see our uploads. You can also catch the full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.